we might not even get to the questions. We might not even get to the questions. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a conversation with. I am so glad that you are here or will be joining us in the near future or online where it streams on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And today I am joined by a phenomenal returning guest, Deborah Richards, affectionately known to her pals on Clubhouse as Debbie Pink. And Debbie is a four-time Emmy Award winning filmmaker. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. One, two, three, four. Four-time Emmy Award winning filmmaker. And she also has an amazing movie out right now that I have still yet to see, entitled Move Me No Mountain. So I'm really excited to, and we were just talking off air, to carve out some time so I can sit and enjoy her newest film. But without further ado, welcome back to a conversation with Debbie. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. It's so good to see you again. And I'm so excited about this interview because I loved your questions last time. They were good questions.
Yeah, well, I try. That's I, why I ask those types of questions, because for me, this is a learning experience.
Mm.
So not only am I interviewing, phenomenal people, I am actually learning and just adding to my knowledge base. So every time I interview someone such as yourself, and you say something, and it's a perfect example. I was listening to another interview that you had done on Mighty Dragons, and I learned quite a bit.
Oh,
I learned quite a bit. So let's get into this. So you know what? And I was thinking about that when I was listening to your interviews and doing some more research. Um, and my question is, what made you decide to one day just say to yourself, "I want to be a filmmaker"? What was the catalyst with that?
it's so funny. I'm giving a talk tomorrow night
Hmm.
to the employees of Meow Wolf, which is an art installation here in Vegas. And they wanted me to put together a little slideshow and presentation because we're talking for like an hour and a half. So I started putting it together, and they have some guidelines and some kind of like suggestions. And as I'm putting it together, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a trip down memory lane. This is a whole, I had to kind of track it back. So it's so funny you asked that because it was very, very, it, I was examining that question today in slideshow form. And basically what had happened was, it was really two things. One, about 15 years ago, I got disillusioned with life a little bit. And I said to myself, I want to go in a new direction. And I Googled the 10 best jobs in the world. And I looked at the list, and some of the things on the list were airplane pilot. And I thought, well, that goes just back and forth and back and forth. I don't see how great that is. Another one was CEO, and I was like, well, I own companies, and I don't really want to, I'm more artistic. And I kind of went through the list, and then I saw film director, and it hit me. And this is where the, collision of the other thing, and that other thing was, I've kind of been training for this my whole life,
Hmm.
right? You need to have a lot. You need to be a Jill of all trades. You need to know a lot about a lot to be a film director, okay? And so, as a writer director, as a writer, you need to have lived, right? Check. Lived in 4 countries. I'm a shark attack survivor. I've had a very colorful past. I used to be a world champion flair bartender. So I've lived. Okay, so that box is taken care of. Um, I grew up in the 70s under the kind of umbrella of my father's advertising agency in the Middle East.
Hmm.
This was before desktop publishing. So I saw grassroots marketing with old fashioned techniques like letraset and tint, where you had to, kind of, rub on the tinting for the newspapers and stuff.
Oh wow.
And so I learned all that. And then I got a video camera in about 1980. And around the same time, I think I got an Apple III. And so the video camera was my sister's because she was older than me, but I kept using it because I would build Muppets and then film Muppets.
Hmm.
And then I would kit bash like FX kits and make spaceships and film those and put the black and white filter on it and film them landing into talcum powder for moon dust and all this stuff. And this was in like 1981. Okay, so I was a musician, which as a teenager, I ended up working in a recording studio and learning, digital sequencing and stuff, which is really similar to sequencing for film and
Hmm.
editing and nonlinear editing. Um, I got into Photoshop real early before I even had a color computer. When my laptop was still black and white, I
Oh
started
boy.
using Photoshop. And then I built my first website in 1988. And I built one of the first ever flair bartending websites, which is still around today. And so I had all these digital skills, right? All these digital skills, marketing and advertising and arts in my blood kind of thing. And then I owned a bar and I had to do the MySpace animation commercials
Oh
and
my gosh,
TV
MySpace.
commercials and all that kind of stuff. And I was making little shorts on the side. And then someone said, "Hey, you should go to film school." And around that time, I was looking at that list and I saw film director and I was like, I have every single skill set because I know how to manipulate imagery. I know how to um, manipulate people's emotions and feelings. And I have a lot of stories to tell. And so, what else could I be built for? So that's the short version.
Wow, wow, wow. So that's amazing. And actually everything that you basically just talked about, when people talk about film school, it's
Mm,
interesting. I've heard conversations where people that actually went to film school, when they got out, they still had so much to learn. They basically had to learn everything that you just talked about because you learned the technical side, but
right.
the humanity or the humanistic side, you didn't learn that in those four walls. And it's so interesting. A lot of my friends who never went to film school are absolutely amazing filmmakers because, much like what you just said, they brought all of their life experiences to the film set, because in actuality a movie is basically a reflection of real life. But with that, what were some of the challenges that you faced when you first started out?
I'm not really sure when I first started out because, someone said to me the other day, "When did you start editing?" And I said, "My first blink was my first cut."
Hmm.
But so there's been challenges. I mean, okay, the biggest challenge for any filmmaker, for any person, is time.
Hmm.
Behind every door, there's another 12 doors. It's just to learn the craft, to understand the craft. We've got over 100 years of cinema history. There's so much to learn. There's so much that's changing at a rapid pace and so much history. And all that combined is just a lot, right? So it just, I'm really passionate about cinema and I'd like to master the craft.
Hmm.
It seems like a ridiculous endeavor because it's a never ending endeavor. And so yeah, what was the question?
When you kind of jumped into it, what were some of the challenges that you
Right,
faced?
right. Well, the funny thing is, the first short that I made was a 60-second short, and I wanted to do like a little action sequence. And the first challenge was getting people to film. Like I didn't have anyone to
Mm.
film, and so I ended up doing stop motion animation just because I didn't like. I said to my friends, "Hey, can I film you?" And they're like, "Why?" So at first, and it sounds ridiculous, but that problem gets eased over time dramatically. Like in a lot of my projects, I've worn a lot of hats and done a lot of
Mhm.
roles. But each project I do, that's less and less because more people, come late to the party and want to join in on the action and help out. And I'm in a position to employ more and more people as well as time goes on, which is great. So yeah, so the challenge at the beginning was just having a workforce, I guess. And then other challenges throughout. I feel like I've always had to fight for my seat at the table, being a
Yes.
female filmmaker. And I've always had to know more than the person standing next to me so that people take me seriously, right? Um, I'm a colorful individual and I have a presence, and I get that. So I don't want that to overwhelm the fact that
Right.
I'm knowledgeable and experienced and creative. And so I feel like I've really had to grind up my craft. And
Mm.
I flunked out of film school. After I won the 4 Emmys, I was like, "Pfft, I know everything. I got 4 Emmys, right?"
Hmm.
So I left film school and whack, reality hit me hard, like the realities of Hollywood. And I spent the next like roughly 8 years grinding away at my craft. Did over 100 TV commercials, made 9 shorts. I'm now my third movie,
Mm.
and um, I grinded out my craft. I worked a lot of commercials, which taught me to work in so many different styles and you know, s- techniques of storytelling.
Right.
And so I think winning the respect of my peers was always difficult, and that's what I mean for fighting for my seat at the table. And it's
Hmm.
only really with grinding out my craft and knocking out excellent work again and again and again that it's slowly one rung at a time.
Right.
But I'm cool with that. I mean, like it's like 15 years overnight success. I'm cool with grinding it out and taking each step because at every turn I've just made friends and won respect, and it's just more of a solid foundation for a career than going from 0 to 60 in a career. It's kind of like been a slow burn to my.
Yeah. And that's so true because every win is an earned win.
Mm,
And that's a win that you can't take, yo, this was a 7 game win right here. This wasn't a sweep. This was a 7 game grinded out. So
yeah,
what you see right here, this was earned. But let's talk about the fact that you won 4 Emmys. You became an award-winning filmmaker.
yeah.
Now, did that in any way change anything with you? Were studios knocking on your doors? You win these 4 Emmys, and now you're like, okay, here come
No,
the floodgates.
the only thing it changed was my ego.
Mm.
I was like, woohoo, this is it. Doors are gonna open. No, no doors opened. Who likes Emmys? People that come over to the apartment and takes their photos with them. But I mean, it's cool to say, and I'm really grateful for the recognition and the awards. But it certainly didn't open any doors, and I think I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for doors to open. It's funny. Life has a habit of the doors open when you're ready, right?
Mhm.
And looking back, I wasn't ready, and it's so funny looking back because when you're on this path, whatever your path is, like if you've got like a long term goal, and with films, it's pretty long term, right? Whenever you got like this kind of long term goal and road ahead of you, it seems so daunting and so much ahead of you, and so many rivers to cross and mountains to climb. And then when you look back on it, you're like, wow, that didn't really take that long, and that wasn't really that bad. And it's so funny the perception of time, how it changes over time.
Yeah. So with that, when you were in it, you're like, okay, no one's calling me. But then when you look back over it and you say, well, you know what? That was actually a blessing in disguise because if someone had called me, I would have basically squandered that opportunity.
Oh, for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure. I wouldn't have no one called because I wasn't ready. And
Mm.
it's not just about being ready technically, it's about being ready emotionally and spiritually. It's being it's about being ready to accept. I think a lot of the time, as creatives, well, everyone, but especially creatives, I feel like we have a lot of fear of success and a lot of fear of failure at the same
Hmm.
time. And we're constantly trying to navigate that, or rather, our egos are. And yeah, man, it's a fight. I've had to claw my way through the industry, and I love it. I love where I am. I'm so proud of my journey, and I'm so proud of my teams, and I'm so proud of the people around me. And speaking of teams, right, my team has grown so much. And looking back, it was 2 years ago, almost to the month, that I came up with the idea for my first feature film.
Hmm.
Now that film came out like 4 weeks ago. I have another film in post production, and I'm in development of my third film. If you had told me 2 years ago that I'd be juggling three movies in 2 years, I would have said you're crazy.
Wow. Yeah, and that actually leads me to my next question. Your latest film, Movie No Mountain.
Yeah.
It deals with some really heavy issues.
Mm.
The issue of homelessness, guilt, death, and some other things, and in a backdrop of amazing contrasts. How did you come up with the idea for this film?
I'm not really sure. I just woke up one morning with the title, the story, and the protagonist in my head, and there were
Wow.
blanks to fill. But I just woke up and thought, "Here we go. This is a cool story." And prior to that, I was going to shoot a horror movie for my first film.
Mm,
And then I woke up with this idea, and I was like, I don't want to do the same thing that everyone else does and just do a horror movie. And everyone said, horror genre, horror genre, horror genre, because that's going to sell the best and it's financially makes the most sense. And I didn't do that. I took the tough road. I mean, for your first feature film, you're supposed to use two actors, one location, right? I had like 40 actors, 40 locations, dogs, scorpions, pigeons, underwater scuba stuff, fires. Um, I did the complete opposite, and I went with a suspense drama, and I told a hard story, but an original story. And I'm really proud of the fact that my movie is original and has a voice. And for my first film, it's like it's a statement. It's like, okay, guys, this might not be the best cinema in the world ever, but this has a voice, and this is a director to watch out for. This is someone to pay attention to. And I think my work has always done that, and that's why it's slowly bought me fans and bought me momentum and the juice to now be a full-time feature filmmaker.
yeah, that's awesome. And the fact that, as you said, it's original, because in today's world, it's about the franchise. You make one and then
The pendulum swings, man. The pendulum swings
yeah.
right now. I mean, we can already see the death nail in the bed of the Marvel stuff
Mhm.
and movies that are being produced at $80 million with another 80 or to 100 thrown in for P&A is unsustainable. And the pendulum swings. Um, the middle class of movies in the 90s, the kind of movies that Matt Damon made a career of, have kind of withered and died.
Mhm.
The $10 million to like $60 million kind of bracket, and I just feel like it's going to swing the other way and slowly come back because the movie biz, the way it's operating right now, doesn't seem sustainable.
No, it doesn't. And that those movies, that was basically the sweet spot. You had some really, really good films in that 10 to $60 million range.
Of
But
course, like so many classics. Yeah, absolutely.
yes, because and then when the really big films started coming out, it really pushed indie filmmaking almost to the brink of extinction.
Well, I think the pendulum's going to swing. I think
Yeah.
the streamers are the modern studios of today, and their business model for just creating their own content is not cost efficient. And so I feel that there's going to come a breaking point where they're like, you know what, we're going to start engaging independent producers again and
Mhm.
purchase our content from them. And I feel that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. But back to your film,
Hmm.
how did you meet your lead actress?
Oh, it was such a cool happenstance. I went to Sundance 2020. So this is like a couple weeks before the pandemic, literally. And it was my first time there. I drove up from Vegas and I went to this kind of like satellite event that was like a pitch type of thing where you go and you pitch your idea for a movie and the winner wins X amount of stuff or whatever. And I was really confident about my pitch. I had a rough cut of my short, dark lights, and I played it. And Like no one got it. Everyone was like,
Mm.
huh? And the one person in the room that got it was Catherine Lelly, or Kat, and she had a movie that was debuting at Sundance. It was in competition called The Evening Hour, and she was the only one in the room that got my short. And she came up to me and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing! I want to be on the Debbie Richards train. I get it, negative space." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're my people." So so I promised her that first opportunity I got, I'd write something for her. And so I wrote the role specifically for her.
So was it hard writing that film? Because you said you wake up, you've got the movie, you've got the title, you've got everything.
Yeah,
But
it is hard. It's hard. And here's why. It's emotionally hard being a writer because I think the biggest quality you have to have as a writer is you got to be able to empathize, right? You got to literally put yourself in other people's position and go through that. And I did a lot of research for the movie. I mean, it's well known that I worked with Las Vegas Rescue Mission and Shine Light
mhm,
Foundation to go meet people like that. But also, the movie deals with grief. And I did a lot of research on YouTube, watching videos of people that accidentally killed someone and
mm,
how they lived with that trauma. And, I'm an artist, right? So I feel like I'm this big antenna. And whatever you put in front of me, I'm going
mhm.
to absorb, I'm going to artistically digest and process, and then I'm going to spit it out as art. Okay, so you put me in a boardroom for a year, and I'm going to come out facts and figures. You
Mhm.
you put me in front of YouTube videos of people discussing grief, and it's really going to emotionally bring me down, like dramatically. I'm very savanty like that. That I empathize at a deep level, and so it was difficult for that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were about to say something else.
Oh, no,
Okay.
no, I was just saying it was difficult for that reason.
Oh, okay. So researching you, I found that for this particular film, you did well, it does say in your description, Swiss Army knife.
Mm.
You did everything.
No, really, right? So there's 100 people that worked on this movie. All I did, and this is less than I usually do, but
Mhm.
all I did was writer, director, co-produce, direct, DP, second camera, production design, color, edit, VFX.
That's all you did.
Okay, so we were talking about this last night in the clubhouse room, right? My job as a filmmaker is to look at words on a page and turn it into a picture. Okay? Now, if I need to know how to turn something into a picture, I better know a lot about a lot, right? And that's what I mean about fighting for my seat at the table, that I've constantly had to sharpen the saw and learn all this stuff, not only to compete,
Mhm.
but because I'm really passionate and I love this. I love it, right? I love cinema. I love movie magic. I love collaborating. I love selling dreams, right? So, yeah,
So now, is that something, let's say we're talking to a new filmmaker,
yeah,
and especially female filmmakers.
uh-huh.
Is that a path that you would recommend that they take, that they learn how to absolutely do everything on a set? So, that's something that I recommend to anybody. But would
Yeah,
you really, but is that something that you would recommend that they learn every single
the
aspect of the film set?
not necessarily, because it could take you a lifetime. I mean, I'm proud of my age, by the way. I'm 51, and it's taken me a lifetime to get to the starting line,
Hmm.
right? And everyone's path is different. I think the best advice is probably just reverse engineer the dream. What's the dream? What is it you want to do? Do you want to learn everything like if the dream is being a film director?
Hmm.
Um, is that the question? Like, what's the best pathway to be a film director?
Well, as you said, if you want to know how something, how a picture, for lack of a better word, fleshes out, then you better know
Yeah,
how to do it yourself. So let's say, because you said you did editing, you did second AD, you did all of those different things. So
second
is that
camera.
something second camera, I'm sorry. So is that something, that you would recommend, even if you just get a rudimentary understanding of it?
Well,
So,
this is why I love film school. I recommend going to a community college film introduction class because you'll get a little teaser of these
right.
different disciplines, and you can decide which one to which rabbit hole to go down. I think in life, if you're a specialist, you make more money, and if you're a generalist, you get more work but make less money.
Hmm.
So
Well, yeah, that's a that's an interesting take. I guess it would really depend on, what direction you wanted to actually go into. But
right, exactly, reverse engineer the dream. If being a film director is the dream, the
right.
most common pathway, okay, and everyone's journey is different, right? But the most common pathway is through writing. Because as a writer, you are directing the director from the page, from the jump.
Hmm.
So it's the easiest transition to make from writer to director. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to guarantee your success in the movie biz because you're competing against people like me who are obsessive and, like you say, learn all these different departments and stuff. The reason why I'm going to get a job over most other people is because I understand how all these different components work and work in conjunction with each other and their impact on the next part of the pipeline. So
Hmm.
it makes me, a valuable asset as a director to be able to, um, a director who's only written and then directed, and you say, hey, we need to shoot this at a location, we need a certain location. And they're like, oh, wow, well, this can only be filmed in New York City because New York City is the only place where we have the skyscraper or something like that. Whereas
Right.
whereas me, I can be like, well, we only need a section of the city because I know we can do a set extension with VFX on this and yeah, yeah, yeah. So just being a good writer doesn't mean you're going to be a successful director, but it is the most common pathway to directing
Hmm.
tradition.
Hmm. So, a question about your film. You mentioned Stanley Kubrick a few
Last
times.
yeah, yeah, last time.
So, did this movie pick you?
Yes. 1,000%. Because he actually, that's a famous quote of his that you don't pick your movies, they pick you. And it's such a shitty truth. Because sometimes you'll have other plans, like John Lennon said, like what was the famous film Lennon? Because sometimes life has other, what was that? But anyway, so you got other plans, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, life has got a different, thought for you. And so, yeah, like, I mean, I woke up with the idea, okay, and then what's crazy is I always said I would never do a documentary. And so we're in post production of Move Me to Mountain. And two friends of mine interview me who used to be, oh, sorry, they're still bartenders and they got like a
Mhm.
bartending podcast. And I used to be a notable character in the bartending world. So they wanted to interview me about my contributions. And they were also curious about my new life in film. And so the three of us were talking, and I was like, wow, we should do a documentary about, Floyd bartending. Like, there's never been one. And they
Hmm.
were like, yeah. And then this whole new project fell in my lap, like while in post production. And we've actually finished shooting my second movie while in post production of my first movie. And
Wow.
I always said I'd never do a documentary, but this one just fell in my lap, and I was like, we'd be nuts not to. So that's another case of your movies picking you, and
Mhm.
it's frustrating because sometimes I got other plans, and movie making is really difficult. So it's like swimming upstream. So when the current takes you one way by
Mhm.
chance, just go with it. Make your life easier and just swim with the current. And so when an opportunity falls in my lap, it's silly to ignore it and say, no, I'm going to ignore this amazing opportunity because I'm really focused on doing this. And this leads me to one of my quotes, actually, that I'm known for. I often tell people, some of my best A plans started life as B plans.
Hmm. That's interesting. But you know what? But that's so true. And you can look at it another way, that you may want to do something at the moment, but as with anything, the time isn't right. Like going back to when you were talking about the 4 Emmys, you win 4 Emmys, but no one's knocking on your door because the time wasn't right. So you may
Right.
have an idea and you're saying, you know what, I'm really ready to go with this idea. And the universe is saying, but you know what, Debbie? Not right now.
Right. That's why it's so important to listen to that little voice inside of you. That little voice inside of you, listen to it. What is it? Keep one foot in the past, eye on the future, but your ass in the present.
Hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
be in tune with that continuum.
Yeah, because oftentimes when you go against it, that's when, well, we're all adults here. That's when bad shit happens. And then
Right.
you're sitting there kicking yourself saying, see, I should have listened to my gut.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes your gut is telling you what you should
For
or
good
should not be doing.
for good reason. Your gut
Yeah.
is saying, get the hell out.
Yep. So let's talk. Move me no mountain. You
Yeah.
decided to go, I guess, after some thought. You decided to go with the decision of going straight to Amazon, as opposed to doing the festival runs.
Right.
What made you decide to do that?
Well, it's interesting. It was a two-pronged strategy. Once we finished shooting the movie, we said, let's enter it into a bunch of festivals
Hmm.
to build pedigree. And at the same time, we'll look for a distributor.
Okay.
And if we get a distributor, we got to go with that option over festivals because we have a fiduciary responsibility to our
Absolutely.
executive producers to get to monetization as quickly as possible. But they've been waiting a couple of years now. So, so it was like, well, whichever one pops first. So
Hmm.
we entered into about 10 festivals. And then we went to, at the same time, we went to AFM, the American Film Market. And it was my first time there. It's very exciting. For those of you who don't know, it's like a big industry meetup of um, uh, independent filmmakers and distributors, film distributors. And it happens in Santa Monica at a hotel where they take out all the beds, and each room is a different distributor. And it's kind of like speed dating, and you meet all these industry people. And we walked away with like 10 offers on the
Mm.
movie. So we took a couple months to go through those offers, and as you know, it takes a couple months to get feedback from festivals of whether you've been accepted or not. And we decided to sign with Indie Rights, and they have a great reputation in the industry, and we're very excited to be partnered with them as our distributor. And so as soon as they released the movie, we had to like withdraw it from all these festivals.
Wow. But you know what? I am so glad that you mentioned AFM because I was in a room with you a couple of months ago and
Mhm.
you were talking about your entire process and how you navigated AFM. And I thought it was absolutely amazing. So can you just go over a little bit of that? Because a lot of us were like, well, wow, are you going to actually do a course? Because the way you mapped it out, the strategy was absolutely amazing. So can you talk a little bit about how
Well,
you
yeah.
approached going to AFM? Or you can't?
What's funny about that is that we left it until about 5 days before AFM, before even deciding to go to AFM. I was on
Get
Clubhouse.
out.
Yeah, I was on Clubhouse, and I said, should I go? And someone said, are you crazy? You just finished a movie. Of course you should go. So I thought, okay, let's research and cram. And then we really crammed hard. I think I worked like 48 hours straight.
Mm.
So in the next 48 hours, first of all, I went to the AFM website, made a whole list of every distributor. I sent them an email asking for a meeting, letting them know I'll be there. I put together a Calendly thing so it sends a link so they could like book a 15-minute meeting with me. I also sent them a link to I quickly built a website, and then I quickly made business cards, and we built all these assets really fast. And so we sent them a link, and so they could check out stuff like the screener and the trailer and everything, and they could automatically book. And then when we went down there, we took our business cards, but I also took an iPad with me. I bought an iPad in those 3-4 days so I could show people the trailer. But then I also had a Bluetooth remote speaker so they could hear the trailer because, it's in a hotel lobby and an atrium with, a lot of people and noise. I also took mints for like after lunch so that, I'm not like nasty breath. Like cell phone batteries as well, in case someone's cell phone ran out, I can make friends, say, hey, let me help you out.
Mm,
And because it's a relationship business, right? So you want to be cool and you want to make friends, right? And just don't be a dick. So I went to great lengths to do the opposite, make myself helpful
mhm.
and just went in really, really positive attitude. And we were told like 5 days before it, we won't get any meetings. And I think we had like going in, we had like 15 meetings, and we walked away with 10 offers. So that's a little rundown. I think we did some other stuff, but I can't even remember. But that was the bulk of it.
Yeah, because when you were talking about it on Clubhouse, I said, "Wow, that is so fascinating," and it's even more fascinating now because of the time crunch that you
Yeah.
guys were under.
Oh, I had
But
to do a trailer as well in that time
wow,
as well. Yeah.
so you did a trailer and then put all of that together.
Trailer, website, business cards, Calendly, emailed everyone, responded to everyone, bought an iPad, got a speaker, packed extra batteries,
And mints.
and mints.
Wow. So you know
Buy,
what? Before we came on the air, we were talking
buy
about
the
time
tickets and
management.
buy the tickets and book
Yeah,
the
see
hotel.
that's wow. See, that's crazy. So you know what? I had some questions, but I'm going to turn those over because this is interesting. We were talking about time management
Yeah,
and basically everything and how, time management, everything's kind of, a little messy at the moment. But with you relaying that story, how important was it for you to manage your time correctly before going with such a limited amount of time, but more importantly when you got there? Because as people said, well, you're not going to get any meetings. You guys had 15.
yeah, yeah.
So the importance of time management, saying, okay, I know I only have a certain amount of time with these people. So what was the pitch like? Were you practicing that, while going there, or was it just?
The pitch is the trailer. It's like I play the trailer. It speaks for itself. It's a
Mhm.
movie. It says what the movie does and what it is. Have you seen the trailer, by the way?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So the trailer it just leaves an impression of wow. I'd like to see that. And so from there we then talk about what else we got in the pipeline. A little bit about our attitude and our um, because it's not just about the product. It's about like can we work with these people.
Right.
We talk a little bit about who we are and what we like and what we don't like and make friends because it's
Yeah.
going to be representing your movie like that's a 3, 5, 7 year relationship
Hmm.
potentially
Yeah. So you're absolutely right, and you mentioned something, and you keep bringing this word up, friends
yeah
and relationships, and I think sometimes people, they really don't hone in on that. The fact that you got your lead actress by building a relationship, and then another gentleman that was in your movie, he was a Facebook friend, also by building relationships. So if you were talking to someone about to come in this industry, besides having a good work ethic, is relationship one of the foundations that you would tell them to really
absolutely.
work on?
You meet the same people on the way up as you do on the way down period right your film school buddies of today could be like the president of Sony tomorrow.
Mhm.
Think about that. Like every gig I have leads on to another gig. It's just complete relationship business. This talk I'm doing tomorrow night at Meow Wolf in Las Vegas is because I've been friends with the person who is now the manager there. But I
Mm,
was friends with her for like 15 years, and she used to own a body painting place, Skin City Body Painting, and I would go and make videos for her. Now, 15 years later, out of the blue, I get asked to go speak to, the people that work with her. So it's all relationships, right? It's all relationships, and everyone wants the same thing. Every professional wants the same thing. They want to work with people who are at the top of their game,
Mhm.
who are lovely to work with.
That is so true because, especially when you're shooting a film,
Oh yeah, it gets stressful, right?
yeah, and you're there all day.
Yeah.
So you would like to be there with someone that you absolutely love. But I just wanted to ask you really quickly because we're coming up against it, and I don't want to keep you all night. You were talking about filming a scene and Move Me No Mountain, and you were in the tunnel catching a shot, but you were sitting next to some very unpleasant stuff. So could
Yeah.
you?
So, obviously the tunnels in Vegas, they have inhabitants, and some of those inhabitants use, places in the tunnels to relieve themselves. And, I'm lining up this shot, and it's of our pseudo male, protagonist. And it's a beautiful shot. The light's hitting his head just right, and it's lined up, and it's great.
Mm,
And everyone's commenting, "Oh, it looks so great, it looks so beautiful." And I look down, and there's literally a human turd next to me.
mm.
It's like the dichotomy between the images you're selling, right, versus the reality of what it takes to get them is shocking sometimes.
Yeah, and the reason that I wanted you to share that is because oftentimes when people see you at the premiere looking beautiful in your dress or your gown, and they see your co-stars and everyone's sashaying by and the lights are flashing, that's what they're not understanding.
Oh, let me let you in on a secret. Making a movie is miserable. It's like it's not fun, right? I mean, like it is in a really sick and twisted way. It's so unfun that it becomes fun, if that makes sense.
Mm,
Like it's long hours, it's constant challenges, it's hurry up and wait, it's hot weather, cold weather, uncomfortable weather. It's everything stacked against us. We're running out of light. We forgot something back at base. What do you mean there's no hot food today? It's all every what do you mean the actor missed their flight? What do you mean we forgot the camera? It's all of that. It's all of that and a basket of stress. So it's bananas that anyone ever actually makes films, and the whole process is mind-numbingly hard. And Ron Howard was once famously quoted as saying that every movie will break your heart at some point, and I think he's wrong. Every movie breaks your heart over and over and over again. That's the reality. It's a tough, whenever anyone says "Move Me to Mountain," the first thing I think of is tough gig,
wow.
tough gig,
But let me ask you this:
tough gig.
was it worth it though?
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah, absolutely, 1000%. It's so crazy because okay, so prior to Move Me to Mountain, I've been roughly 15 years freelance editor, roughly 10 years freelance director, 100 commercials, 9 shorts, 4 Emmys, um, but I wasn't a film director. I wasn't like I'd even done a special for the History Channel, but I
Mm,
wasn't a film director. Done animation for Walmart, done X, Y, and Z, like done a commercial for JLo, blah, blah, blah. Still not a film director, right?
mm.
And the magical line that has been crossed since Movement of Mountain has come out is, well, not only am I working, well, I have another film in the can and working on another one, but I'm a full-time feature filmmaker and no one can ever take that away from me. And that's been my dream for a long time. And I'm
Wow.
very proud of the movie, and I'm very proud of the originality and the team that made it. And I'm proud of bringing awareness to people of the realities of homelessness in modern urban America. And I'm incredibly proud of it. And it seemed like impossible looking at this, proverbial mountain that I was going to climb. Excuse the pun. And now that I'm the other side, I've learned so much. I've grown so much. I feel my soul feels bigger.
Mm,
I feel more able to accomplish more, and I feel more accomplished. And I know the reality of what it takes to make a movie from ground up, from bootstrap in 2 years at an independent level under $500,000. I know exactly every step of the way what it took, what it takes, and how to get it done. And now I can just take that knowledge and bring it over to the next one, which is a bigger project, and learn more and continue that step process. And it's very exciting. So I wouldn't change a thing. I'm incredibly proud of it, and I'm so excited that it's out now, streaming on Amazon Prime, YouTube, and Google Play currently. So really excited. Reviews are coming in, and it's exciting. And I get to see people like you again after
Yeah.
locked away at a computer for 6 months.
Yeah. And you know what? That was and ladies and gentlemen, if you don't listen to any other part of this podcast, I truly hope that you just listen to that and then rewind it and replay it again. And here's why. She earned that. And it is so much better when you earn it as opposed to somebody giving it to you. Because as you said, Debbie, you're now a full-time filmmaker, but more importantly, a full-time film director, and you earned it. So when they see that by your name, they're like, well, how'd you get that? Oh, how long you got? Because we could be here all day because I got some stories for you. But I earned that, which is just an absolutely amazing thing. So you are very busy because I understand that you are booked for the next 3 years. How the
Pretty
heck
much.
did that happen?
Yeah, like my producer and I made a pact that 2025 we're gonna take January through February off
Mhm,
because I haven't stopped working two plus years solid, and
mm,
I believe. Sorry to quote Matt Damon a second time. I'm not a huge Matt Damon. I mean, I like him, but I mean, when the first I think it was Goodwill Hunting hit, he worked solidly for 7 years
mm,
before he took a break. And I completely get how that happens now because as you're finishing one movie, there's crossover with the next one, and then there's crossover with the next one, and so on and so on and so on. You don't finish a movie then wonder what to do next. It
right.
just so super busy. We're in post production now of Shaken and Stirred, and I can give you a bit of a scoop as to the next project because it's
Please.
guns blazing right now. I am shooting a horror film in March next year, which comes out Halloween next year,
Oh,
and
nice.
it is called Scissor Mouth. And my documentary Shaken and Stirred comes out this time next year. So I'm juggling the promotion of Move Me to Mountain, the post production of Shaken and Stirred, and the development and pre production of Scissor Mouth simultaneously. And it's a lot, but I have to say I have a team, right?
Mhm,
And this is a wonderful thing that 2 years ago I had one person on my team, arguably, who was my producer, Patrick Wirtz, who's my creative partner and my film husband.
mhm.
And we've been working together for like 8 years, so that's awesome. But it was just me and him, right? Now I have him. I have my manager Zachary. I have my amazing assistant AJ Dean. We have a part-time social media person, Michaela, and I'm forgetting someone. I feel like I'm forgetting someone else on the team as well. Oh, a publicist. I got a publicist now as well, Michael. So even though we're doing a lot, my manager and I joke about it. There's only three things on my list, right? But each one's a movie.
Mm. And that's a good list to have.
Yeah, but it's like there's a lot of sub things under each one. Each one of those things is a 2 year sub list, right? So, but I'm really blessed. I'm really I can't believe what a blessing it is to finally be a full time feature filmmaker. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the people that enjoy watching my films, and I'm so grateful for the people that enjoy making them with me, and then the people that want to talk about it afterwards. And it's such a blessing, and I'm so grateful for my team because it's growing, and that's exciting. And I'm really excited for this. Well, I'm really excited for the Shaken and Stirred, my documentary, but I'm super excited for the horror Sizzle.
But don't it's so but I thought I heard you mention what's the movie that's set in 1981? Is that it? Sizzle Mouth?
No, I was going to do a movie. See, this is the problem with like your movies choose you, right? So I was going to
Mm,
make a movie called My Own Private Nazi. That was going to be my next film, and I'm like halfway through writing it, and it's over a $1 million budget, right? So
mhm.
so I said to myself, with Patrick and I kind of had a powwow, and we said, let's make one more under $500,000 movie
Okay.
and really solidify reputation. And this is what we're talking about those little incremental steps as opposed to
Absolutely.
fast tracking it. And then that way we'll have three under $500,000 movies under our belt as filmmakers in three different genres. And there'll be no doubt that we have the chops to deliver the goods on the next kind of step or run of budget level. So I had this other idea for Scissormouth, and I kind of, soft pitched it to my manager, and everything has just moved so fast since. It's so funny. My first film, I pitched it to 120 people to get the
Mm,
money, okay, and about roughly 10 people financed it.
mm.
My second film, I pitched about 5 people, and 10 people financed it.
Oh, wow.
My third film, I pitched my manager, and he found one group to finance it.
Wow. That is
And
amazing.
it's amazing. And Scissormouth is my most expensive film to date, and so it's around 500,000. So I'm pretty excited.
So I know we were about to get out of here, but I got to ask you,
Yeah.
what do you attribute that to? Now, I know you're a phenomenal filmmaker. I know this firsthand. But what do you attribute going from 120 people and only 10, and then,
Right. No, it's a great
what?
question. So it's a straight answer. It's real simple. It's two things. One, genre, and two, track record. The genre of drama is the toughest genre to sell, and I did
Mhm.
that for the first movie. And horror is the easiest to sell. Okay, and the fact is that I've proven I like can deliver a movie, no problem. Like spat out a second one while I was making the first. So, from a financier point of view, they're like, wow, she's going places. She's put in the work. She's made the movies. Now she's going to the hottest genre with a really good idea. I've got a
Mhm.
really cool high concept that I can't tell you about yet because it's gonna be a surprise. But so that was it. The genre and the track record is what those two things are like a graph crossing, and where they intersect is the third movie.
Wow. 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 Well, you are on fire
Thank
in
you.
a good way, and but it's well deserved because again, I've listened to you for the last few years on Clubhouse, and it's always phenomenal hearing you talk because again, it's educational. I
Well,
always learn something.
sharing knowledge, and I love Clubhouse for that reason because I'm always learning from so many amazing people.
Yeah, it's a master class for free.
Yeah, it's a hotline into the industry, especially more so when the world was shut down. Not so much now. I find
Mhm.
it tends to be the same 200 people saying the same 200 things now. But I still love it, and it's my secret little. It's my secret. What is it? My secret. Not crush. What is it? My like my
Oh,
pet
good grief! I know what you're talking about.
my pet
Okay.
hobby.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what's that word? Was it your secret guilty pleasure?
Thank you. My secret guilty pleasure is Club.
Yes. Yes. I found a couple of rooms on there. Yvette Vargas's room is really great on Wednesdays.
There's a lot of
Because
great groups. I feel like it's like listening to the radio, but you can chip
yeah,
in.
yeah. And we just started our room up again because I took almost a year off because I was a little discouraged because it was kind of I thought it was going down a little bit. But then I
Right.
said, well, you know what? Start your room back up, and we have some absolutely amazing people in that one, and some new faces, that we've met. So which is absolutely amazing. So every Sunday you are so welcome to join us.
Oh,
It's on what is it? 12 p.m. Eastern time. So that's 9 o'clock
yeah,
your
I love
time. But
Clubhouse. I mean, that's where we met, and it's was,
yeah,
I think about maybe 12 to 15 people from Clubhouse worked on Move Me to Mountain.
Wow.
I met my lawyer, my manager, our casting director, my assistant director, one of my actors, one of my financiers, my
Wow.
entire music sync team, and there were a couple others, I think. Yeah. So all on Clubhouse. Crazy, right?
Wow. Wow. And the beauty of Clubhouse. It was such a blessing because 4 years ago, all of those people that you just rattled off, it would have taken you
Yes,
years to meet all of them and to
100.
actually have them in one. If you
I
ever
would,
even
I
got
would
the
have had
opportunity
access.
to meet them,
Yeah, I wouldn't have had access. I mean, I don't live in LA, so I'm not at networking events. And once upon a time, I used to do pitches that used to cost like I think it was $30 for a 5-minute phone pitch to an
hmm
executive in Hollywood. And I did a lot of these. I did like 50 of these over a few years, right? And the reality is, in hindsight, you realize you're not really pitching to an executive. You're pitching to the executive's assistant,
hmm
and the executive's cashing in, right?
yes,
And out playing golf or whatever on a Saturday. So, so it's just meaningless and waste of money. And then all of a sudden, I get on Clubhouse. I think it was 2 years ago now, maybe. And yeah, it's got to be like 2 years.
hmm
And everyone, it was the shutdown, so everyone's at home. And all of a sudden, I'm on stage sitting between one of the writers of The Simpsons and one of the writers of of Mrs. Doubtfire or something, and with like all these important executives in the movie biz, and at first I was like an eager beaver. I was like, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me,
hmm
and people were like, ooh. And then I was like, okay, chill, just hang back and let things work itself out organic and don't be that eager beaver because I was just so excited after years of trying to
right.
make these connections. And I think people do get like a little bit like that when they meet people that they feel can offer them something, right?
hmm
So I learned to chill, and I learned to it helped me really develop my kind of organic relationship build, like laid back digital relationship building. Because I'm laid back in real life,
hmm
but online it's like, oh, this is a person I need to blah, 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 and
right.
start, right? So it kind of being on Clubhouse over the last couple of years kind of taught me to kind of lean back a little and chill and just be there to learn and be there to teach and share and add value where I can, and then those relationships will flourish. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and it's as you said, it's organic. And what we all learned was that although they, held various lofty titles, at the end of the day, they were just people.
Yeah,
Because when you would get in a room with someone that hasn't been outside in 2 weeks, look, if you haven't been outside in 2 weeks, I don't care if you're the head of Warner Brothers Studios or if you're the person emptying his trash, you are going stir crazy. So the fact that you could actually sit and talk to other people, you couldn't physically touch them, but the fact that you could sit, you could talk, you could share your fears and your frustrations over the fact that you couldn't do anything, you couldn't work, that bonded people. So this
I feel like
person,
being able to talk to someone without seeing their face, without any prejudgment.
that was huge.
It's like a wall gets taken away, and it's more intimate.
Yeah, that was huge because I suffered from that as well. When you're sitting on stage, you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and you're so eager, and you're kind of getting shut down. But then after a while, I said, you know what? I'm just going to go in the room and be me. And if
Yeah,
they like it, they like it, and if they don't, they don't. And when I did that, the connections that I've made, but more importantly, let me rephrase that: the friendships and the relationships that I have built, the connections was basically the icing on the cake.
mm,
But to actually call these people friend, because last year I actually ended up flying to LA for a film festival, and I met a lot of the people for the first time in person that I had been talking to on Clubhouse for a year, and it was like meeting family.
right. Yeah, you end up because we spend a lot of time. I mean, I spend a lot of time on Clubhouse, and I feel
Yes,
like
we. You say
a lot,
we did.
yeah, we do, and so you get to know people and you get
Mhm.
to bond, and that's that word organic and just yeah. So it's very fun when you meet in real life, IRL, and you meet these people. And it's very exciting, and yeah, I actually have someone from Clubhouse coming to stay on my couch next week or the
Wow,
two
that's
weeks time.
awesome.
So
That's
there you go.
Yeah, and I'll actually be out in LA in July because I'm going back out uh, to uh, to the film festival again. But when I'm in Vegas, I know who to call up.
Oh yeah, you better.
I know who to call when I because I think my
No,
wife
don't
and I
call
will.
when you get to Vegas. Call me 2 weeks before and let me
I
know you
will.
get to Vegas
Yeah,
so I can
because
plan for you. Because people do that to me all the time. They'll like text me and they'll say, "Hey, I'm in Vegas," and I'm like looking at, I'm like,
I will definitely do that. But Debbie, I am not going to take up any more of your time. This was absolutely amazing. I am
"Thank you
so
so much."
excited for everything that you have going on. And I will now get to tell people I know her. But this was absolutely amazing. And Debbie, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
You
you so
definitely
much.
come back. You definitely have to come back because I love, love, love talking with you. And ladies and gentlemen, if you like this episode, please share it with your friends. Before we go, where can they find you on social media so they can follow you?
Oh, it's real easy. If you just Google Deborah Richards, everything will pop up. But I'm really active on Instagram. So just Google my name and my Instagram will pop up and follow me and I'll follow you back and we can be Insta friends.
Make sure you follow her, ladies and gentlemen, because she is a wealth of knowledge. Look, get that free knowledge. It's nothing better than a low price of free. So again, if you like the episode, share the episode, leave a comment on what is it, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever, if you enjoyed the episode. But make sure that you listen to it again because there were some very phenomenal things that Debbie talked about that will absolutely level up your filmmaking. And that's what I love about doing this podcast. She taught you some stuff tonight that is going to level you up. So I hope that you listen again and share it with your friends. And again, thank you so much for joining myself and the amazing and comparable Debbie Richards on a
Thank you so much.
conversation tonight. And as always, love this like a hobby, but above all else, treat it like a business. Have a great night, everyone.